I'm officially unemployed because of other people being idiots and trash. In the meantime, it looks like I'm going to have a lot more time to watch a bunch of members of the Skittle community entertain me via show, which looks like it was made on $3 and a McChicken. So today we're enjoying Season 3 of RuPaul's Drag Race US. I would like to clarify that Skittle community is an umbrella term. Trans women are actually green M&Ms. Here's the raw data from the Drag Race Wiki. Yes, I know it's bulky, and yes, I know it looks weird. I had to do that to get it to fit in 2 frames. The CSS changes I made to make it display were as violent as the season's first lip sync. On the matter of data, here's the computed data for the season. Sorry it's blurry enough to compete on Season 1, but someone had to bring a contestant for no reason, so now the queens have a different max potential score over time, since we have queens with different episode counts with the same episodes. Also, this season was the prototype to Season 14. It had a massive blob of non-elimination episodes, and everyone is exhausted by the end. Also, we're treating the casting count special as Episode 1 for simplicity and cutting to Episode 2. Speaking of prototyping, Venus Delight was the prototype to Trixie Mattel, underappreciated on her original season, but significantly more successful afterward. She's been featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not, My Strange Addiction, Botched, and the greatest piece of literature in the English language. But she finished the first competitive episode with a min of 0, a max of 0, and an assault charge count of 2. Shangela had a min and max of 1. Carmen was in the bottom 3, but not the bottom 2, meaning she has a min and max of 2. Raja won with a min and max of 12. Manila and Mimi were high with a max of 11 and a min of 10 each, and everyone else was in the 9 to 3 range. As I mentioned previously, Drag Race in these post-season 1 early seasons was going through the world of TV and spoofing it. The next episode spoofed what the Sci-Fi Channel wishes it was. Phoenix was eliminated for acting poorly when directed poorly with a slur pun that was written for her. She has a min and max of 0. Delta beat her with a min and max of 1. Carmen repeated herself with a min and max of 2. Shangela and Alexis tied for first place, meaning they have a max of 11 and a min of 10. Mimi, Mariah, Stacy, and Yara were all high due to being on the winning team. They have a max of 9 and a minimum of 6. Everyone else is in the 5-3 range. Speaking of slurs, the next episode featured a pun on the R slur, and even worse, it encouraged exercise. This episode parodied home exercise videos. Before we go on, Shangela could have been high here. Her approach to the hula hoop spoke to me, a person who is unable to use a hula hoop due to having joints which are basically held together by shoplifted clearance Dollar Tree yarn. Mimi was eliminated with a min and max of 0 due to picking up India. India had a min of 1 and a max of 1 due to literally being above Mimi's shoulders. Mimi should have carried her to a dentist. Mariah was low with a min and max of 2. Alexis won with a min and max of 10. Stacy and Yara were high with a max of 9 and minimum of 8. Everyone else was in the 7-3 range. The next episode was a pastiche from an earlier time. For non-American viewers, news channels in the US are roughly 20% actual news on average. The rest is commentary for people who build whole careers out of making filler. It's like Trinity the Tuck's face. Also, this was in standard definition. Most news channels in the US went HD after 9/11 gave them enough funding for all the regular anchors to come back in 2003 with new faces. India was eliminated, to Pakistan's delight, with a min and max of 0. Stacy had a min and max of 1. Mariah had a min and max of 2. Manila won with a min and max of 9 by throwing Asian rights back 20 years. I think she wasn't cast on Slasian Royale because someone was going to obliterate her in the reading challenge just by showing this photo. Shangela was high with a min and max of 8. Everyone else was in the 7 and 3 range. The next episode was Snatch Game. Mariah was eliminated with a min and max of 0, but won the season with Congratulations Raja. Delta took her out with a min and max of 1. Stacy won for what I suspect were storyline reasons with a min and max of 8. Yara was low with a min and max of 2, despite having a genuinely funny character. Raja and Alexis were high with a min of 6 and a max of 7. Everyone else was in the 5-3 range, including Shangela, who had the worst Tina Turner impersonation I've ever seen, and I've seen the cutting room floor footage for Miss Congeniality too. Episode 8 was the worst case scenario for Austria's Pandora Nox. It had a reading challenge and then a comedy challenge. Delta was eliminated with a min and max of 0. Manila was in the bottom 2 with a max of 1, a minimum of 1, and 0 original jokes. Alexis was low with a min and max of 2. Shangela won with a min and max of 6, and everyone else was in the 5-3 range. I think if this were a comedy challenge that was formatted differently, Delta could have won. Her comedy works better when she has someone to play off of. Episode 9. Oof. This episode was tasteless, imperialist, and unnecessary. Seriously, the lines of taste were crossed in so many ways I'm surprised John Waters didn't sue. This was the episode where the Queens had to, and I am quoting the wiki here, create patriotic video messages for the troops. For historical context, at the time this aired, queer people were barred from serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. The Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy didn't officially end until after the season finished airing initially. Even then, discrimination did not end. Trans people are still discriminated against in the military. Department of Defense security clearances still require investigation into sexual orientation, so this episode had people celebrating an organization which openly discriminates against people like them. Also, to be clear, nobody should want to be employed by such an organization. The U.S. has not had a war since World War II, which was A, justified, and B, not caused by U.S. actions, at least in part. That organization is now synonymous with infidelity, failure to provide employee benefits, poisoning people, sexual assault, and war crimes. Alexis Mateo may have had the best score with a Minimax of 5 and a prize of luggage, but the real winner of this episode was the Boulay brothers, because they weren't dumb enough to create this challenge. Yara and Carmen tied for the bottom two, so they have a max and min of 1 and 2. Sorry, a max and min of 1 and 0. Shangela was high with a Minimax of 4. Raja and Manila were in the 3 and 2 range. Speaking of crimes against humanity, the next episode had the Queens force people to listen to karaoke performances of RuPaul Superstar 6 times in a row. Raja won with a Minimax of 5. Manila was high with a Minimax of 4. Yara was safe with Minimax of 3. Alexis 2. Shangela won the lip sync with a Minimax of 1. Carmen was eliminated for the first time with a Minimax of 0. Episode 11 was a departure from the rest of the season. The show's producers suddenly remembered that they wanted the fashion one to win, so they bailed on the format of parodying everything in TV and just switched to a pair of balls. The hairball was a challenge where all the queens had to make outfits out of wigs. I don't know how the show was able to afford all of them. Maybe some of the wigs were made of pubes. Yara won with a Minimax of 4. Raja and Manila stayed out of the bottom with a Minimax of 2 and 3. Alexis was in the bottom with a Minimax of 1. Shangela and Carmen both have a Minimax of 0, but Shangela could have potentially beaten 4 queens and Carmen 0 this episode, so they have different max potentials. The cast more than doubled the next episode because it had the makeover challenge and Carmen come back for no reason. Speaking of doubled population, there's a Catholic vagina joke in there somewhere. She then got a double 0 while Raja was put in the bottom to show weakness with a Minimax of 1. Manila won with a Minimax of 4. Alexis and Yara were 3-2. Episode 13 was a lot. By this point, the queens were exhausted. The moment that Yara collapsed with exhaustion and started crying in the lip sync was the realest thing we've seen this season. I've actually only watched this episode once, and it still sticks with me. If this were a modern season, BetterHelp would have sponsored the prize. I could see the producers breaking someone mentally and then making a prize for it. Yara had a Minimax of 0, Alexis 1, Raja 2, Manila 3. Manila and Raja made it in the top 2 in the finale. Before the crown, Raja had a total combined max score of 66 and a minimum of 50. Manila 63 and 49, both out of 86. So naturally Raja won due to knowing Tyra Banks. In conclusion, Season 3 of RuPaul's Drag Race US was basically purified American culture. It had a buttload of TV references, racism, dedicated time for tacky nationalism, and a syphilis outbreak. Naturally, Sharon auditioned for the next season. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, send fascists after other fascists, ring the bell.